Hello and welcome to the Etihad Stadium and welcome to Pep Guardiola as he arrives off the bus as we build up to our very rare 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday as we welcome Newcastle United to the Etihad Stadium. I can tell you there are 6 changes from our game in the middle of the week against Real Madrid. I'll be bringing you that team news in just a moment. But you'll like the good omen that City have done very well against Newcastle here at the Etihad Stadium. But Newcastle coming into this in great form. Of course, we qualified for the League Cup final. Isak in great form as well. So lots to be done. But fingers crossed Manchester City can get back to winning ways this weekend. İlkay Gundogan coming off the bus, and I can reveal that man behind him, Kusanov, does start as well as that man. New signing in January, Marmoush, makes the starting 11. Let me bring you the rest of that team right now. Ederson in goal as we then make our way to our defence. Rico and at right back alongside, there he is, our new January signing, Kusanov, plays alongside John Stones, moving back into centre-half after playing CDM in the middle of the week, and Gvardiol completes the back 4. Moving into midfield, brand new signing Nico, first Premier League appearance for him alongside stalwart İlkay Gundogan and Phil Foden. Then we move to our forward 3, another brand new signing as well, Marmoush, starts today against Newcastle alongside Savinho. And to complete our starting 11, our captain today, Erling Haaland. My name is Spellman. It is a pleasure to be with you, Manchester City fans around the world. It's even more of a pleasure to be alongside Mr. Andy Morrison and Mr. Sam Allardyce. Good afternoon, gents. What a treat to be with you. Sam, going to be a tight game, I think, today. How can you see it going this afternoon?
Well, ultimately, I can see Man City winning, I think. But I think that the tight game that we're going to see is because Newcastle away form particularly good. Mm-hmm. And a tactic that I'm looking forward to, Eddie, what he's going to do. Is Eddie going to sit back like lots of teams do and defending their own half? Or is he going to use his tactic like he did against Arsenal in the second leg of the Carabao Cup, where he pressed a high press, which is what Man City are renowned for, the high press. So will both teams activate the high press today, which I think will make the game very, very interesting indeed.
I can imagine as well, I guess for an opposition coach, given the form that City have been in this season, Andy, that maybe does it kind of create more of an opportunity for them to go, we can maybe get at this team that we've not been able to do in the past. Do you reckon there are conversations that are being had amongst players and coaches?
Oh, I think it's spot on there. Yeah. I think if it was me saying this is your best chance to get a result against Man City on their own patch, because you know they are leaking goals. Yeah. Unlike Man City, they're leaking more goals than I've seen them do for a long time. Lots of talk about the fact that the team has had to change through injuries. That's tried to be rectified with the January window. I've never seen Man City so active in the January window to try and build the squad up. Those players are playing today who haven't got a lot of Premier League experience. So, you know, there's a little bit of areas in Man City that are not as rhythmical as we normally see, not as fluent as we normally see. But the individuals, and particularly with the best goal scorer in the Premier League up front, he can turn the game at any time. Yeah.
Fingers crossed that we're doing that today, Andy. We were together for the Real Madrid game. You said there'd be changes, 6 from the middle of the week. What do you make of the look of that starting 11 today?
I mean, I think it's very attack-minded. I think we're very strong up front with Savinho and Marmoush. Changes again to the back four, and we spoke about that. You know, and we spoke about it at length. The changes continue, no continuity. You know, no familiarity with who you're playing with, and so many changes, which makes it difficult. Yeah. But no, this is an opportunity, isn't it? And it's a huge game. And you look at the league table, and you look at what the significance of this result today, the importance of it. Yeah. But no, interesting, Sam saying about how they're going to go about whether they're going to press. I would. at this moment in time. I'd be full on. There'll be triggers. There'll be certain players who, you're going to manipulate the ball a certain way, and then when it goes to him, that's the one we're going to lock on, and we're going to put huge pressure and find out exactly, where City are at.
Yeah, you mentioned actually, Andy, before the show, I think we've had around 20 different combinations of defenders. I can say that a Manchester City defender has been taken off 18 times during a game this season. I mean, that, as far as trying to build a solid defensive foundation, is difficult for any team, isn't it, Sam?
Well, we always talk about partnerships.
Yeah.
In the game, and partnerships are drawn out of two centre halves playing together consistently, that get to know each other, get to read each other. And when that constantly changes for whatever reason, load, too many games, then the continuity between the two changes, and what used to be sort of instinctive is now you're looking at your opposition centre half and saying, what is he going to do? How is he going to do it? It's in the same token as your two midfield or three midfield players now. The one goes, one sits, but filling in for each other. Your full-back with your wide men, so all those combinations are built over a period of time. And the way Man City evolved is continuing to keep changing the side, but those combinations getting to know each other by not just the two players playing regularly, but there's another two players in the squad that actually start the same. So as the season goes on, they all play a lot of games and then get that continuity between them. So if I'm playing against a different wide man, I know he's different to the Grealish before, Savinho. So I understand. So you get that relationship. But obviously with the changes, injury-wise, new signings, that continuity goes a little bit. And of course, seeing the defensive side being as weak as it's ever been for me, in my opinion, I mean, I would sort of strengthen that promotion to the team about when we haven't got the ball. It's very important that we do defend properly today. But I'm really looking forward to what should be, I hope, an entertaining game.
Yes.
Because often you can come here. If I was a manager coming here, I would want to make it boring.
Yeah.
I would want to slow it down. I would want to get men behind the ball, and I would want to try and frustrate Man City as much as I can certainly with the teams I'd had recently. You know what I mean, and frustrate them.
Yes.
But I think that Newcastle have got an opportunity and a confidence to try and go at Man City more than you would see normally.
Yeah, and we've seen that in their recent form this season. I guess conversely as well, as much as trying to be solid at the back, does City then lean on, well, let's use our attacking prowess, because we know we've got that Marmoush starting today, new signing Nico as well. So maybe we can try and go, well, if we're going to concede, let's go and get the goals instead.
Yeah, I think it's a really, just thinking through there as Sam was speaking, if Newcastle go and press, then they're going to make City do something that they're not normally doing. If they sit in, then City have been at their weakest when they're 15 yards into the opposition half, and then there's not the fluency and the rhythm that we've had over the years, and there's mistakes being made, and it's that turnover of possession. So if they take that away, I feel at times so vulnerable when the ball's getting moved around because of the lack of familiarity. And as it's just been saying, the centre half, I need to know where he is if I'm going to go in there. And then you're just so exposed on that turnover of possession. If Newcastle go and press us, they're going to remove that away. So it'd be interesting how they go about it. And absolutely, I mean, Savinho, who's began to show the qualities and the assists. Interesting that 5 of the 6 have been to Haaland. So a great combination there. We've always talked about the De Bruyne relationship with Haaland over the years, but something working there. And Marmoush, when he hits the ground and gets that first goal, I think the change in Savinho when he got the goal and his confidence, Marmoush exactly the same. He's been so good without the final moment. And it's enough to know that I think he's a really special player.
Yeah, he really, really is. I mean, his stats in the Bundesliga as well back that up. We're going to just bring you the goals from City's point of view in the Madrid game. And Sam, I really wanted to, because we spoke about it at length, Andy, but from a manager's point of view, one of the themes we picked up on was obviously the mistakes and getting, 1-0 or 2-1 up, and then it kind of crumbling in the last 5-10 minutes. What do you do as a coach? Because when I watched that, you can't blame Pep. The tactics worked because you were 2-1 up with 5 minutes to go. I'm wondering, as a coach, how do you go about trying to rectify that? What do you think that kind of is?
Well, it's a lack of at that particular time. It's a lack of understanding, because obviously at that particular time it's being able to analyse not the coach on the side, the player on the pitch, and somebody on the pitch taking responsibility when we talk about leadership.
Yeah.
And we've seen there can be a lack of leadership. We talk about it. Lots of people talk about it. But at the end of the day, there's enough experience in that team to say, this is it. We're winning. Yeah, we make sure when we're out of possession we defend correctly, all of us.
Yes.
And ultimately the opposition are going to expose themselves by attacking more and more and more to try and get back in the game, which leaves you even more spaces you've had in the rest of the game to actually maybe counter-attack and even score another goal.
Yes, exploit that.
But not by not doing that and then encouraging Real Madrid by the mistakes that they're making, it ended up being a loss for them. So it's responsibility by players on the pitch looking at each other and saying, I mean, this man used to do it when I was at Blackpool when I had him, and that was, in the lower divisions, but he felt he had a responsibility on the field to make a change or talk to his players and ask them to do something that, they wouldn't probably normally do just for the sake of the team.
Yes.
And that was, I think, just missing and why they didn't actually win the game.
And then confidence-wise, Andy, I mean, it's important, I think, to bounce back today, isn't it? But I guess when your confidence is, you see what happens when your confidence is at high. Confidence is at quite a low, it seems, at the moment amongst some of the players.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it, didn't we? Managing moments and situations in a game, and I will never be able to work out why, with 5 minutes to go in the game, that Edison decides to go early. You would have thought because there were 3 players who were recovering, you would think he would drop the ball and wait and then go long. So as a manager or a coach, you can never legislate for them in-game decisions.
No.
And it's hard too. That you look at afterwards, you look at every eventuality before the game. What could go wrong? What can we talk to the players about? But you wouldn't see that moment in the game. So you have to move on very quickly from that. And you come into today's game and it's a fresh start, and being able to leave that, which is not easy, by the way.
No,
it's not easy to let that go, because confidence breeds into the next game. In the next game, even taking a point rather than defeat, it sets you up for the next one. So it's a massive ask today.
Yes. From
the group and the players to turn up in this game, as has already been said when we were speaking earlier. Like Newcastle coming into this game are seeing an opportunity. They're going to be at it. We're going to make sure we start with the right intensity, the right focus, and be willing to go from not just the footballing aspect of it, but to the nuts and bolts and the dirty side of the game.
Yes.
Which we've got to win those individual duels, them battles, them second balls.
Yeah.
And then allow the rest of it to come into play.
Yeah, them finer details that make all the difference. Right, we'll take a pause here because on your commentary team today, Alistair Mann with Clive Allen. We can hear from Ali and Clive now. They are pitch side just down there. Let's see what they made of our starting 11.
Yeah, welcome to Pitchside, where alongside me is my co-commentator today, the former City striker, Clive Allen. Clive, you're most welcome to join us today. Just a quick thought, now you've had a chance to digest the City lineup, 6 changes. What do you make of it?
Yeah, very interesting. I think John Stones moving back to a central defensive position. Obviously, Rico Lewis coming in at right back. A number of changes from Pep. I think trying to get that balance, trying to get that team that is fluid and works well together against what is going to be difficult opposition.
What was your main observation about Tuesday going into today?
I thoroughly enjoyed it, sitting there watching what was a game of the highest quality. There was no doubt about that. Can understand the frustration having been 2-1 up against Real Madrid not to close that game out. John Stones moving from midfield into the back four, maybe I thought just unsettled City, and obviously Real went on to take an advantage. It's not all over, but I thought it was a top-class Champions League game.
And considering how much City gave to that, how tricky does this now become as a consequence?
Well, every game's a big game, as we always say, but obviously the positions that the two sides find themselves in, probably Newcastle have that momentum at the moment. I think it makes it a very, very difficult game. For me, it's going to be that midfield area that is going to be vital. Do like the 3... Certainly the 2 regulars, Guimaraes and Tonali, in the heart of that Newcastle midfield. How City deal with them is going to be vitally important.
Well, you mentioned the Newcastle lineup. I'll just read it out so you've got them all listed. It's Martin Dubravka in goal. Kieran Trippier comes in instead of Tino Livramento. Fabian Schär, Sandro Tonali, Anthony Gordon. There was a doubt about him, but he's been past fit. Alexandra Isak bang in form. Lewis Hall comes in at left back. Jacob Murphy, Joe Willock, Dan Burn and Bruno Guimaraes. It is a strong Newcastle side. Pep was saying yesterday that they're a more aggressive, more physical side than City. Is he talking particularly about the engine room?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of experience there as well. Gamesmanship, without a doubt. Obviously, they're without Joe Linton, who physically was a very powerful player when playing with the other two. But I do think they've got a lot of know-how in that midfield, and then they're very lively up front, as we know.
Well, because of Chelsea's defeat last night, the winner today goes back into the top four. Adds even greater significance, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a massive prize. You get into the business end of the season where one result can make a massive difference, and a jump into those top four places will be immensely beneficial for either club.
Just one final thought before we leave it. Erling Haaland, again, 2 goals on Tuesday. His tally's incredible. He's committed to this club for the best part of 10 years. How do you rate him as a striker, fellow striker? What is it about him that makes him so special in your view?
Absolutely sensational. I think his desire, his belief in his own ability, his skill when he gets into those areas to take chances, and I think he's the best centre forward in the world at the moment, and I think he will be for many years to come, and obviously at City.
Well, that's a nice thought. Those are the thoughts of former City striker Clive Allen. Erling Haaland is captain today. A very special moment for him as well. Let's hope it's a special game. Back to you in the studio.
So there we have it, the Newcastle team, just brought to you by Alistair Mann, with Clive there as well, and you can get that commentary on the City app. I mean, Andy, they're having a great season so far, and I think, as mentioned, as Pep has pointed out, probably physically stronger, faster. They really could have the opportunity to hurt City today, especially when you've got Isak in great form. Only Haaland and Salah have scored more.
Yeah, and what stands out for me, Kel, is they've got threats in the pitch, and they can score goals, but they never look weak and exposed. They seem to have their transition back into a solid shape is very quick and organised. When everyone's roles and responsibility, they never seem to overexpose themselves. Maybe later on in the game if they're chasing, but they've just got a great structure to how they play, and I'm a big fan of Eddie's and the way he sets his team up, and just like the physicality, the energy, the legs. They've now got goals in the team, got quality throughout, and they're a major threat.
We saw him just kind of coming out before they come out to warm up. I know Isak is obviously taking out the plaudits, but Anthony Gordon as well. I mean, he's having a great season, Sam. He's going to be a real threat for Newcastle today on the left.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's turned out to be some bargain from Everton. I think that they capitalised on Everton's financial problems with this financial fair play now, and jumped in, took the opportunity to get a player who's been brought up at Everton and knows the Premier League inside out, and have developed into an even better player now.
Yes.
So that's an extremely good signing, which is what we and Andy were talking about. That Newcastle haven't made that many bad signings recently. Same as Man City. Man City's signings over the years have just been phenomenal.
Yes.
And that's why the team becomes so successful with a great manager, obviously. And Eddie is formulating the same sort of track on his career now, having been out such a long time, by getting the right players at the right time and improving a Newcastle team that the fans demand up there.
Yes.
Believe you me, if you do not perform, they want you out. You know about it, and they want the manager out as well, by the way. So there is always a massive pressure at St James's to deliver results, and that talk about playing the right way. But at the moment, with the aggression they're showing, the quality they've got, that is going in the right direction. What has interested me, and I was reading it the other day, that they haven't signed anybody in 3 windows.
Couldn't believe that.
Is that because of financial fair play rules? Are they not capable of finding that money? Which I think, for Newcastle development, for the fans, for Eddie, for the players, that's particularly sad.
Yes.
So having done so good with the signings in the last few years since he's been there, not to see another add on. It doesn't have to be more than 1 or 2.
Yes.
And that will make Newcastle better. So be interesting this summer. But this game, obviously, very, very interesting to see how both sides balance out. And of course, Man City's reaction to the defeat in midweek.
Yeah, absolutely. One player I'm sure they'll be keeping hold of is Isak. Hell of a season. I think I've got here 17 Premier League goals for him. How do we go about trying to keep him out today, Andy, if we can?
Well, obviously, the further we can keep him from our goal gives us a great chance. But he has, with this pace, he's a threat in behind.
Yeah.
He's finishing, and he seems to be so full of confidence at the minute. And strikers are like that. They go through these periods where everybody's talking about them and everything they seem to do is right. And I mean, this is brilliant. The quality there to move the ball and then to find the finish. And it's game after game now.
Yes.
And he's in that rhythm. And listen, I hope he stays and I hope he's happy there. But ultimately, it comes down to the player. And how much he's getting in his ear from. I heard Barcelona mentioned this week. And Arsenal in the summer. But Newcastle should be able to keep players, their very best players. With the position they are in at this moment, they should be able to keep their best players, but time will tell.
Time will tell indeed. One other player I just wanted to mention, because we briefly touched upon him, Dan Burn, and ever present in the Newcastle team. I didn't even realise, Sam, as well, you were saying started out on the left. But,
left back, yeah.
He,
an awful lot bright. And at Newcastle for a while. I mean, I think what we're seeing is stability in the team. It's not always about, say, the most talented player on the ball. It's about how good he is and what he delivers to the team, and his reading of the game and his defensive qualities and his tackling is come on a ton, like you mean, and that's why he's one of the regulars in the team. I mean, without those defensive qualities, Newcastle wouldn't be where they are today.
Yes.
And and that is very, very important for them. And he's done a fantastic job over the time. And people thought that he was a short-term fix for them to try and stay in the Premier League when the new owners took over, but he's proven that he can handle the pressure, he can handle the fact that they've gone up and played in Europe, got into the top 4, and he's done extremely well.
Yeah, he really, really has. It is laying the ground to be a fantastic game here at the Etihad Stadium. 35 minutes till kick-off. We're now going to hear from one man who played for both teams. He's going to give us his memories, of course, of coming up through our academy and playing for Newcastle as well. Here's John Morrison.
Yeah, welcome back to Pitchside, where I'm joined by John Beresford, who I'm sure you'll associate with Newcastle United, but you might not associate with Manchester City. Tell us about your very big Manchester City connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Where my dream started as a kid. Was an apprentice at Manchester City, 2 years pro. Yeah, disappointed, didn't work out as I would have liked it, but you know what? Great memories, great times. Still got connections within the club. In fact, I'm just about to meet Paul Lake and Ian Brightwell. Men and memories from the past. So yeah, got real good fondness about this football club.
Tell us about the Manchester City team and the people in front of you in the queue those days.
In them days, I would say it was Paul Power, Asa Hartford, Neil McNabb, Derek Pauline. We had a bit of a Scottish influence because Billy McNeil was the manager at the time. And but yeah, it was funny because I had one of the biggest fallouts I've ever had with Billy McNeil. So it's one of those where bittersweet memories. But as I say, it was one of them where I remember. In fact, I finished up signing for Barnsley, and the reason I signed for Barnsley because Mick McCarthy was the captain at Man City at the time, and he says there's a young kid getting released here because I had a fallout, and I finished up. That was my next progression. I had 2 years at Barnsley and then finished up making my way up the leagues again. But yeah, so yeah, great memories.
And of course you are associated most of all with Newcastle. I know they weren't your only club, but what is it about Newcastle that makes them so special?
I think I was lucky, Kevin Keegan had just taken over. He was on holiday in Spain. He didn't really want to be a manager, but he got an affinity with Newcastle. And he asked me to... I really signed because he was my boyhood hero, believe it or not,
I can't believe it.
Once you get in a conversation with Kevin Keegan, he gets you. And he promised me we're in the Championship, we'll get promoted, we'll then get into the Premier League, we'll get into Europe. And then at first I'm thinking, what's he on? But I remember I signed, and then within 2-3 years, promoted, Premier League, playing in Europe, and I got in the England squad. And he just went, "You didn't believe me, did you?" And I went, "You know what, Gaffer?" I said, "You know what, I didn't at the time, but thank you, you made my dreams come true."
Absolutely, because he was a very special man for City as well for a few
Absolutely.
years. Just going back to that Newcastle side that you were in, you were always reminded then of the gap since the last trophy was won.
Yeah.
Here we are, 20 odd years later, still the same story. It's just a big noose around the neck,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
massive. And don't get me wrong, it frustrated me, you know, so I'm still having therapy. Thanks for bringing it up. No, but in the serious note, we couldn't understand it, you know. We were going for the cups, you know. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, sometimes, you know, it's whether it's in the stars, you know, like, you know, a bit of luck. You know, we finished second to Man United twice, and you look back and just go, but how did we never win? We got FA Cup, we lost in the final, and it is, I promise you now, it's like the monkey, you know, on the back, and we've got to find a way to do it. Fingers crossed, we're in the Carabao Cup this in the final against Liverpool. We're still in the FA Cup, you know. It's bright, it's a tough game, but it's another opportunity, and I do believe this Newcastle United is ready to explode. And I think what they are actually doing, they're actually looking at Man City as a blueprint. You know, the Saudis have taken over. They're looking at what's happened here, and the growth of what Man City's come, not just as a football club, but just in the city and everything what goes with it. And we're copying, so we're after you.
Just one final thought, is this the best Newcastle team you've seen for a while?
Miles. By mile, you know, people will go to me, and I don't want to be an old boring dinosaur and all getting. You know, people go about our team. My days have gone, but you know what? I watch this team, and it's as good as it gets. They've got camaraderie, they've got athleticism, and they've got technical ability as well. And what we've also got, and it's like which Man City have got, we've got a proper centre forward.
Yeah.
And then you look at all the teams in the Premier League. Honestly, the one thing that we can rely on, we can actually have a poor game, but Isaac's in the team, and he can have a bit of brilliance, and he can win your games. I've been lucky enough with, when I played, you know, Andy Cole, Les Ferdinand, you know, Peter Beardsley, Alan Shearer, you know. Sometimes when you've got that sort of like that diamond in your team, you believe.
Well, you've been a diamond on the interview today. Thank you very much indeed for your time. The thoughts there of John Beresford. Let's go back to the studio.
Oh, fantastic stuff there. Thank you, Ali. We're bringing you pictures there. Of course, he's making his full Premier League debut. Our new signing, Nico. Of course, was unlucky in the Leyton Orient game. Picked up that knock, went off early doors. But as we know, Andy, we've needed some energy in the midfield. And obviously, that's kind of who City have turned to. So hopefully, he'll bring a bit of energy and physicality.
Yeah, I mean, you know, alongside as well, I think all his stats and the data that we've read up and seen, you know, says that he keeps the ball exceptionally well. You know, it's that Busquets, you know, Guardiola way of playing, you know, plus he can get that initial press and, you know, the recovery runs as well. You know, once the turnover of possession, you know, there's moments at the split second and the importance of getting back level and then, you know, just the forcing play left or right. And that's what we've missed. We spoke about it, you know, with Rodri in midweek, you know, his IQ, his football brain, to know when there's no point me going there now. I'll wait for 2 phases more play before I can actually then, you know, suffocate the ball. And it's so clever, that first, the perception of how quick you see it. And you know, from what I've seen and what I've read, you know, that's his football intelligence as well. Nico has that ability to direct play, because sometimes, you know, people talk about pressing too quick or setting off. It's just the timing of when to go, and you read what's around you, not exposing yourself, so that you can actually, you know, just cajole play into a certain way, and that's what we've missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed as well. We're seeing more. That's funny, isn't it? Just that kind of tiny thing can have such a massive difference on the game itself. Now, we want to hark it back a little bit because we, of course, some memories spent together at our time in Blackpool, Sam. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It reminded me, it was Blackpool's record signing when we signed him for Blackburn Rovers.
That's right.
And he wasn't quite getting in the team as regularly as you'd like.
Yeah.
And of course, speaking to Kenny wasn't an easy job, because, you know, he wouldn't let anybody go that cheap, no matter what. But Andy quickly became what was my change of system, which didn't happen much in any league in that time, I moved him from centre half to sitting in the Rodri role.
Yeah.
And his passing level in that particular position was custom to me to be playing him there rather than centre half. Thought he would contribute more, which I think he did, and 2 players either side of him, and that worked very, very well for us. Like you mean,
yeah.
So he was, he could be unpredictable. off the field as well as on it. So it could be a bit of a rebel then, but I'm glad to say that for many, many, many years now, that has all gone. And I'm just a little sad. I've not seen him in this country at some level in the leagues doing his coaching and his managing, because he told me when he arrived, I was 23. 22, 23?
23, yeah.
23. He said he'd already passed his coaching badges.
Wow.
He said he'd already done them, and I was thoroughly impressed with that. So, and he took responsibility, for the team on the pitch, and we were extremely unfortunate not to get promoted in my time.
It's funny because when we talk about what we're saying there about with these mistakes, and needing that voice on the pitch, we always get a lot of comments from City fans saying we need Andy Morrison on there. Andy, how did you find playing in that more forward role? I didn't realise you played there.
I played in midfield at Plymouth as a youngster. I had 140 games for Plymouth, and I played probably 70 as a midfielder for David Kemp. So I kind of knew the role, but that was always in a 2, and it was new. Listen, we're going back to 93, 94, when Sam put me in there, and back to centre half in certain games, and we swapped it around in that. But yeah, it was a great, and I absolutely loved it. I loved Blackburn. I loved the what we created there, and a big lesson that we learnt from the Bradford game, being 2-0 up.
Yeah.
Something that I took for the rest of my career and my life. Don't wind up the crocodile until you cross the river. And we did. We did at 2-0. We got it wrong as players, the way we conducted ourselves, and then a harsh lesson in the next game, and then things moved on very quickly from there. But I think that, I look back at it and things moved on for the better. Things are what they are. I think if we'd got to Wembley, and even if we hadn't, we'd have gone again, and it might have stagnated. But both careers kind of took off from there. So it was fantastic, and I owed so much, because although I was the captain and I did what I did on the pitch, and I played the right way, and I trained the right way. I trained like it was my last training session, and every game was a final. I was so intense in everything I'd done. The way I conducted myself away from it, I was not, and I apologise to Sam many times for that. Because I know what mistakes I made, but they were part of my growing, part of my journey.
Yeah.
But there were magical times there, and I love Blackpool. I love Sam.
Yeah. I have to ask as well, and I hope I've got this right, otherwise I've just been done by the production team. I have to ask about the wooden pig story, a lucky mascot. Does that
I'll leave that to Andy.
Very quickly, we went on a trip to Forest of Arden, and
God.
and we borrowed this wooden pig that was in the foyer.
Okay.
And then we took it back, and it became our mascot, and we went on a great run, and we went sort of 6 games unbeaten. But apparently it was given to the hotel. It was cut from an African wood or something, and the gaffer pulled me in and sort of said, they said, I need the pig. It's got to go back. And we were like, we can't. I can't, it's our lucky charm. And I remember them saying, listen, go down to one of the arcades and get a fluffy toy. The pig's going back. And anyway, the pig went, and I think we drew and lost the game after that. But
Fantastic.
it was great. And
I wonder where that pig is now.
Yeah, that's it. You know what? There's a feature in that somewhere, a documentary trying to find.
But that's how superstitious you can get.
Yeah.
As footballers, the superstitions that you see in the dressing room, are just unbelievable, aren't they? What some of the players do or have to go through to get themselves ready for a game. It's quite remarkable.
City had one, didn't we? Haaland bought in a bonsai tree, I think, to the City, to the CFG at one point, and that became a massive thing for the players a couple of seasons ago. We actually sat down with Carl Robinson before the Salford game. I want to bring you this little clip, and then we'll pick up off the back. Here's Carl.
And it's funny because one of Sam's, I know you know him very well, one of the most things he was happy about when we played City was, I think there was about 6 minutes to go, and he didn't stop speaking about this for 3 days. He definitely said he heard Pep telling Haaland to go and to keep the ball in the corner. Right? And that was his claim to fame of when we were at Leeds.
Claim to fame there.
The first game at Leeds, that was for me, and bottom of the league, Leeds obviously. But we got back to 2-1, and I've never seen Pep telling his players get that ball in the corner and play the game.
I was here
out.
for that game.
I'm looking at him going like that. So I mean, it was just unbelievable. Like, I mean, so we were obviously, trying our very best for try and get a point if we could, but that just shows the intenseness of those last few minutes, and it put them on the back foot because they were comfortable up till then, and that goal went in, and it all went, whoa, you know.
Yeah,
because they're going for the league, and so it just, and it's the right thing to do. No matter who you're playing, don't give the opposition the ball, play the game out. And the times we've seen players do things like go down the right hand side, get in the box, cross it, and then the opposition go the other end and score, and you go, we're winning. Why just run it in the corner and just play the game out? But yeah, it was a moment that I just remembered, and I'm surprised Carl remembered that.
Do you know what, there's a bit of me watching that going, I wish we'd done that against Real Madrid.
Yeah. There you go.
I didn't realise this, Sam, but the most managed, the team you've managed most against is Man City. We're going to kind of look back at some.
I didn't know that myself.
There you go. There's been 37 matches in total. There's been some big wins. We're going to start off with this one. It was in 2005 season when Juve scored 1-0. I think we can bring some clips here.
I remember this.
What a player Juve was, by the way. Oh, it's a lovely turn, back stick there.
Yeah.
Was that a free kick that got in there?
Yeah.
A deeper City, by the way.
Yeah.
It would never be like that today.
Do you remember this win there, Sam?
Yeah. It's keeping the pressure on the opposition when you do a free kick. It can not often happen on the first ball in. But you win the second and third ball, then you get this opportunity.
Like that.
And I mean, that was after us playing, that was our first year in Europe for Bolton. So we come back from Europe after the game on the Thursday night, and going to Man City on the Sunday was a worry for me. That the team experience in Europe for the first time, how would they get by? So luckily we managed to win, and we were a bit lucky that game, because I remember Man City hitting the woodwork a few times, I think, in that game. So.
Well, then also because they started off you winning at the Etihad 3 years in a row, because the next year was the brilliant and legend that is Gary Speed. Dunny there, giving away the handball. What's your hand doing up there?
Oh, yes.
But I think we also hit the crossbar in this game, I think 5 times.
Right.
So rode the luck, but also, I mean, I mentioned Gary Speed as well. What a man and what a player.
Yeah, what a player. God rest his soul. Yeah.
Is that J-Mo in net there as well? I think it is. Yeah. We'll save that one. I'd like to show that to David when he's next on the show. And then the following year, 2006, 2-0 winners at the Etihad. Nicholas Anelka.
Yeah.
Of course. I forget that Nicholas Anelka went to Bolton.
He was our big signing. He was the one that scored the goals that we needed to get into Europe and hopefully try and stay in Europe and even try for the Champions League, which Nicholas Anelka nearly got us there. You know what I mean? But he was just awesome. This was the real team that we'd put together by that time, that was good enough to beat anybody, home or away, and particularly with it, rarely missed an opportunity. Rarely, give him an opportunity, rarely missed it.
So look at that dummy there as well, it's beautiful. I mean, such fond memories, I guess, from that time as well, because the team you did build and what you did, Sam, I mean, is there for us all to see.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the confidence you had in the team then. The confidence, in your early days, you wake up on a Saturday morning or a Sunday, and you will wonder, is the team going to perform to the level you know it can?
Yeah.
That team, nearly all the time, it was Gaffer. Don't worry about it. We'll be okay. Yeah. And there were that many big characters in that side that played in the Champions League, won the World Cups, things like that. That it was about making my job easier by giving them the responsibility to perform on the field, they used to get a lot of stick for coming to Bolton because they would talk journeyman, they're only coming for the money, but all those players had a reputation to keep.
Yes. Yeah.
And their reputation was so high that people wondered why they came to Bolton. But when they did come to Bolton, what they lifted Bolton Wanderers to at that particular time, and the standard they portrayed to the rest of the players was phenomenal, and that was why we did so well.
It's kind of similar as well, Andy. I think back to when we made those signings to help City get to almost make a step up.
Yeah.
You know, when you signed the likes of a Vincent Kompany, and we had that great window where we signed, you know, Silva and Yaya Toure. At the time it was, you know, they come in for the money, but those were the professionals that helped take City to that next level, and they play such a key role in the club's history.
Absolutely, and it's not, you know, of course the pitch is the be-all and end-all, but there's, you know, there's also, you know, the way you conduct yourself around the training ground, how you carry yourself day to day. You know, the impressions you leave on the youngsters around, and just the day-to-day, the way you carry yourself when you come into training, and it just rubs off on everyone.
Yeah.
And you know, they're special people, they really are, and they're unique as well.
Yeah.
And you can't have enough, as Sam just saying there about, you know, the players being able to take control of a changing room and be able to, you know, and the importance of them characters and that strength. Manager can't be there all the time and oversee everything, but you know that your senior players have them same values as you, and that's what Manchester City have had now for a long time. You know, you have Vincent, Ferrandinho, David Silva, just the way they carry themselves. It rubs off on everyone.
Yeah, priceless. Sam, I wanted to ask as well, is it true that you almost became City's manager? Is it around 2007?
Yeah.
No way.
Bolton's ambition to go to the Champions League was zero at the board level.
Yeah.
And I felt that my career was to try and finish in the Champions League, particularly with Bolton at that particular time. And the team we'd put together were capable, and I wanted to sign another couple of players in January, which got refused. And I felt that a third in the league at that time in January meant that it would, you know, this could be an opportunity, and it could be the only opportunity we could get to finish in the Champions League. And the club showed an ambition, well, didn't show any ambition. So I chose to speak to the chairman and say I would be leaving at the end of the season. We tried to keep it quiet as long as we could. So I got an approach from Man City, which was John Wardle, Dave Makin, who were the owners at that particular time, and said, "Would you be City's next manager?" Which at the end of the season, which I agreed. And then just a couple of days or weeks after that, unfortunately for me, the club got sold to Mr. Shinawatra.
Yeah.
And they apologised and said, "Sam, unfortunately that's happened, and they want Sven-Goran Eriksson instead." Like you mean, so that opportunity was missed for me. But you know, lo and behold, just a few days later, Newcastle came. So I was back where I wanted to be, back in the Premier League.
Yeah, fantastic. Sliding doors, no way.
Yeah.
And just curious, as having, you know, faced him a few times, what is it like from the opposition manager's point of view when you come up against Pep Guardiola?
I think that when you're coming across Pep Guardiola, you're hoping for the team to have an off day.
Yeah.
you know, as organised as you can be, and as many times as you can talk to your players about how important it is to maximise your possession, because you're going to have less than Man City, and what you need to do with it, and how you need to defend against the opposition in where they try and create the spaces and the movement to break you down. You know, it's a very, very, very, very difficult job, of course. You know, so you know that always you come in and trying to do your very best at any particular time in terms of how you're playing against them.
Yeah, fantastic. There we go. I mean, don't envy anyone who comes up against Pep. Or to be fair, any of your teams either, Sam, as well. And you, Andy, as well. Right, let's take a slight pause here in the studio. As we know, City in the community is a massive part of the club, making a difference, not just in Manchester, but all places around the UK and around the world. But there was a very special visit to one of their projects from none other than legend Paul Dickoff.
We're here today to surprise our primary school's manager, Lucy. Lucy thinks she's coming here to Studio One to film something for City in the community. Little does she know, she's going to be presented with our Premier League Community Captain Award. Let's see how things go.
I'm Lucy and I'm City in the Community's primary school manager. I think it's had a massive impact on me. Like I said, I've been here nearly 8 years now, and I've had loads of experiences, but I've grown a lot, I think, personally and professionally. It's been, there's been some challenging times, but it's definitely made me better as a person. And I can genuinely say, I love getting up for work and I love coming and working for CITC. And I enjoy what I do, whether there's challenges or not. It's such a great place to be at.
Thanks. You're not actually here for an interview today.
Oh.
You are our Premier League Community Captain this year, Lucy.
Sure.
So we've got two very special people who are going to come and present the award to you.
Oh, hello.
Surprise.
A very big surprise. I'm a little bit emotional.
Got to know you on a personal level and in a work capacity, and I can honestly say, not just here at the club, but for all clubs everywhere, there's nobody more deserves this award than you.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Oh, amazing. I feel really emotional.
Yeah. I think from a CITC perspective, Luce, you've been here 7.5 years, and in those 7.5 years, I've seen you grow so much personally and professionally, and the amount of passion, dedication, motivation that you put into your line of work is incredible, and you really lead your own team with such pride, and you ooze passion for this area, and you're so committed to the kids in Manchester because you want the best for them.
Oh, amazing.
You're creating positive opportunities, and looking for a brighter future for the kids in Manchester, which, what more could we ask for?
Oh, I'm so shocked.
I never thought I'd see you speechless.
I know, I'm speechless and emotional.
That was the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've done it, well done. It's amazing. I'm honestly really overwhelmed. I quite clearly wasn't expecting it, but yeah, it feels really nice to be thought of by the team and in this way, and yeah, thank you very much.
Well, here we go. I'd like to present you the Premier League Community Captain Award, which is more than well deserved, you will agree?
Yes.
Thank you.
So there we are, the Premier League Community Captain Award awarded to Lucy there, a thoroughly deserving winner. Congratulations. Now, on the programme today, and we're going to bring this up in full, does this remind you of anything? It might remind you of that fantastic, arguably probably one of City's greatest ever transfer windows in history, with Mancini there when we signed Kolarov, David Silva, Yaya Toure and Jerome Boateng. Unbelievable. Come January though, there's kind of a little parallel, which is why it's the artwork on our programme today, of course, with our 4 new signings in Kusanov, Race, Marmoush and Nico. We knew there was a bit of a rebuild needed, Andy, and Sam, you mentioned we do well in the transfer market, but that is a very exciting January that's happened there for City.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure anyone really saw that coming.
No.
And I feel leading into the window, with the injuries and the way the season had gone to that point, it needed fresh faces, it needed a bit of energy put back into the squad. I think everyone agreed with that, but I didn't see 4 players of that quality coming in. And, testament to the people behind the scenes that put that work in, because that doesn't just happen overnight. That's been planned in place and perhaps been brought forward maybe from the summer.
Yeah.
Probably mostly you'd wait to the summer, but get them in, gel them into the squad and see how we do things.
We know that Cheeky, of course, our footballing director, is passing on the baton at the end of the season, so it feels like it's his last parting gift. Right, Asim Chowdhury joined us before the game, massive Newcastle fan, famous, of course, for his infamous character, Djibouti G. Here he is giving his thoughts pitchside.
Yeah, welcome back to Pitchside once again. I'm delighted to be joined by actor, comedian, well, all sorts of things, but mainly today Newcastle fan, Asim Chowdhury. Where do your love for Newcastle begin?
I just grew up and I really loved zebras. I know that sounds like a very weird answer, but when you're young, you're obsessed with something. And I just loved the way they looked. I had zebra PJs, I had zebra bed sheets. It was a weird obsession. So naturally, watching football, I remember watching Football Italia on Channel 4, Juventus.
Yeah.
And then obviously my beloved Newcastle, and that was the 90s, the entertainers. So I fell in love with them and then stuck through, with them through all the pain. So you know all the Mike Ashley era. But now it's brighter days for us.
So what would you call your local team then? If it's
Definitely. I mean, I live literally 10 minutes away from Brentford.
Right,
so I'll always
okay,
love Brentford.
okay.
But Brentford was like, everyone loves Brentford. But my love was for Newcastle early on.
Right.
I stuck with them. But I love Brentford. So when Brentford beat Newcastle, I'm not too bothered. If Man City beat us, it's different.
Different story.
Yeah, or Sunderland. Yeah.
So you're in love with people like Kevin Keegan, that kind of era?
Amazing, yeah. I mean, that I always remember that interview, and I think that's what's missing from football, a bit of that emotion. It's not all so scripted and robotic. He came from that philosophy of, you're going to score against us, but we'll score more than you. And I love that, and I think that's what football's about, And I think that we lack that sometimes. But in some games, it comes alive. And I think today might be one of those kind of games, because, do you know what I mean? You guys got something to prove.
Yeah.
We really want to get top 4. Chelsea lost the other day. I think there's a lot at stake today.
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's goals in it.
Well, one thing I will say about Newcastle is that I cannot believe how long it is since you guys last won a trophy. Now, you're reminded about that, but you've got another opportunity in about 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Cheers.
What do you think?
Plymouth, though. Plymouth beat them.
What do you think?
We just got to do a Plymouth, don't we?
It's got to come to an end, hasn't it? It's got to come to an end.
Honestly, what I would obviously I'd love a silverware, but just for the fact that we're getting into these finals and we got into Champions League and we're again contending for top 4. I'll be honest with you, mate. I'm happy with that. So even though it would be a dream to win something, but it's about the journey. It's not always about the destination for us. And I only say that because we've won nothing for 100 years.
Are you going to be at Wembley? Are you going?
I hope so. Tickets are hard to get, for anyone. So I'll see. I'd love to go. I'd love to be there.
And tell us about what you've got on the go at the moment away from football. In real life.
In my real life. I'm doing a Christmas movie at the moment with Sky, with Danny Dyer and Kiefer Sutherland, Rebel Wilson. I'm shooting that in Leeds, so that's why I'm up north at the moment. I'm writing a new sitcom for BBC One. That's set in Bradford, Wesley. So it's all up north. Doing a movie. I'm writing and directing a horror film. So keeping really busy.
Film?
Yeah, I know.
Not a comedy horror film. A proper blood and guts one,
right? A proper horror film, because I'm a comedy guy, but my favourite genre has always been horror. So
really?
I wrote a script and tried to flog it, and they went, all right. And now I'm like, oh God, now I've got to bloody do the thing. I'm like, oh, whoops.
Well, let's hope it's not a horror story for you at Wembley
very
in
good.
4 weeks'
See that?
time.
See that? He's a pro.
I know I am. Listen, I know I speak for a lot of people when I say I hope you do end your quest for trophies.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
not in the FA Cup, and certainly not in the Premier League today either. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Cheers.
All the thoughts there of a very funny man who wants Newcastle to win today. He's joking.
Thank you so much there to Alistair Mann. You can catch him on the Manchester City app commentary alongside Clive, and great to hear from Asim Chowdhury as well. He's a brilliant man as well. But of course, we're hoping his team don't get the result today. The lads are in the mess, so we're going to take a pause here from myself, Sam and Andy in the studio. Come join us at half-time and then at full-time. Before we go though, gents, I have to ask for your predictions. So I'll come to you first.
2-1 City.
Love that from Sam. Andy?
3-1.
3-1, there we go. I'll go same as you, Andy. Gents, I've loved the show. Thank you so much, and thank you to all of you for joining us. Right, go and enjoy the game, enjoy the commentary on the app, and I'll see you at half-time. Come on, City.
Come on, City.
Thank you, Kel. Welcome inside the bowl of the Etihad Stadium, where the expectations are huge and the atmosphere is intense. Two sides who, to say the very least, are among the best in the country. Both are eyeing similar goals, both with similar determination to, at the very, very least, qualify for next season's Champions League. These two teams are likely to play out a quite breathtaking fixture, all things considered, this afternoon. So much quality within the ranks of both opponents, and the reality is that it is a difficult game to call. Throw in the fact that it comes in between the two legs of the Real Madrid Champions League match, and you realise what a tough proposition lies ahead for City today. Bruno Guimaraes and Ederson, Brazilian teammates, just talking pleasantly with each other. Well, February always looked like a pivotal month for City, and 2 weeks in, there seems no let-up in the significance of each fixture. Sandwiched in between the two legs of the titanic tussle with Real Madrid is today's equally huge duel with Newcastle United, as the Blues switch their attention from the Champions League to continuing their quest to be back in it next season. It's a meeting of the two sides currently just outside the top four,